Hello and welcome to Self-Work. I'm Dr. Margaret Rutherford, and this is YGTG, meaning you get the gist. We'll talk for a very brief time about one topic. And today is therapy self-indulgent? And I'm going to tell you a story about having a rock in your shoe. I had a guy who was a patient of mine the other day smile and say he had to struggle a bit with the idea that therapy for him felt a little self-indulgent, which he followed quickly up by saying, I know it's because I rarely, if ever, focus on myself, and it feels a little odd doing it. But it's also not an easy thing to do, and most self-indulgences are that. Easy things, comforting things. This definitely isn't easy. So I started thinking about what he'd said. It's certainly true that some people come into therapy with heavy sadness, grief about a death or a divorce, about a child with a drug addiction. They have stories of almost unbelievable abuse or neglect in their lives as children that somehow they survived, but are now dealing with the ramifications or consequences of those experiences. That's one kind of work. In the trauma world, that's called big T or big trauma. But there are others, many others, who come in for what might be psychologically less potentially damaging experiences, but they are important enough or hurtful enough to be impactful and to lead them to not be the parent they want to be, or to want to learn better ways of communicating or handling anger, or to realize that they're getting in their own way of attaining their potential. Whatever it is, these are often what's called little T or little trauma. So then I thought about the times I might have had a little rock in my shoe, so small that I even wondered if I should stop and take the time to get it out. It doesn't really bother me. It would take too much time to get it out. I'm in a hurry. I'm making a big deal out of nothing. If I just don't think about it, it'll resolve itself. It'll probably fall out when I take my shoes off tonight. All the reasons why I wouldn't just stop, get the damn rock out, and move on. And there are a million of them. But what happens if you don't take that rock out? Your foot, in its attempt to handle the rock's presence, begins to form a callus where the rock hits. That callus changes the way your foot sits in your shoes, so you quite unconsciously shift your weight to the other side of your foot. It also doesn't hurt as badly, which then affects the way you're walking or your gait, and that begins to affect your knees, your hips, definitely your back, and then you're a candidate for surgery because you've screwed up one of the above. And once you've had one joint surgery, you might as well count on having another one, and the list goes on. So what if you'd taken the 2 minutes or 1 minute it would take to get the rock out? Now, you may not need therapy for every rock in your shoe. That's certainly true. Having a mentor, a colleague, or a friend, someone you trust and can talk to, is often enough. Just giving you a place to vent, to brainstorm, getting some support and understanding can be found in lots of sources. We therapists are here for times when that's harder to do. Whether you're experiencing big T or little t, it doesn't matter. I personally love when someone comes in with a rock in their shoe that we can try to understand and eject as caringly as possible before they're arriving on a psychological stretcher, needing emergency service, or a relationship is being wheeled in where people are already screaming for a divorce, or the emotional walls are up so high that immense apathy has settled in their bloodstreams, and frankly, one or both don't give a damn if the relationship lives or dies. So, I'm inviting you to come into therapy with your rock and your shoe before things get worse. And if things are bad, certainly come into therapy as well. There's no shame in asking for help. It's not self-indulgent. It's good self-care. I hope that story helps. Thanks for being here on Self-Work and a YGTG. Take very good care. I'm Dr. Margaret, and this has been Self-Work.